Come for a walk on Exmoor with me and let's find a village that's been abandoned for more than 100 years. It's called Clicket, and by the looks of things, it's this way. Come on. Now, unlike our previous trip to Colbone, Clicket is a little bit more of a fiddlier place to find, but it is a much shorter walk. It's only about a mile and a half sort of thing on a round trip. Now, I started my walk by joining the public footpath at Thorn Farm, which is Googleable, but if you want to see the route, then head over to my Strava for more details. Just please remember to be respectful with your parking. Please don't park at the farm. There are plenty of laybys nearby. The first part of the journey, you'll be pleased to know, is all downhill as Clicket is located in a secluded valley between Luxborough and Timberscombe. Only make sure you do wear a decent pair of walking boots as the footpaths can be rocky, slippy, and remember you've got to go back up that hill, so it's not the easiest of walks. But you will be rewarded with wonderful views, and you won't be walking for long before you get your first glimpse of what remains of Clicket. Yes, here we go then, the first prominent ruin that you'll see coming down the valley into Clicket. It is a bit of a blink and you'll miss it type of thing at the moment because it's obviously summer, it's overgrown. But yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? That used to be a house. That used to be where people lived, I'm guessing, because of the size of it. It's pretty big, it's really huge. I mean, it goes right up into the trees. So that was a sizable old house, that was. Now, I'm guessing, because there is a mill that we're about to see going down into the bottom of the valley, I'm thinking, because of how big that house is, that was probably the mill owner's house. I wouldn't be surprised. By the way, don't get tempted to hop the fence and have a closer look, because not only will this barbed wire do some considerable damage to your shreddies, but also it is private property now. So do be sensible and respectful. Anyway, let's keep going, because there is so much more to see. Come on. Now, Clicket itself is very, very small, and it's thought that there are only around 4 houses, a farm, a mill, and a quarry, all scattered around the bottom of the valley. And that's it. Nothing else. There was no church, there was no school, no Tesco Express. You'd have to travel to Timberscombe or Luxborough for any of those things. And it was a tricky walk as well through the valley, especially if you were a school child. Can you imagine having to walk 2 to 3 miles each way just to go to school? Did you really love school that much to want to do that? But at the same time, it was a busy, bustling community here in Clicket. Now this would have been the mill. This would have been Beckham Mill, or Bickham Mill, I think it was also called. I think if you can see just a little bit round the corner actually, there's like a little gully, there's like a little indent. I don't know if you can see it, but just where my finger's pointing there, it looks like sort of like a little groove, like a little indent where a wheel would have sat. And that would have been a water wheel. It would have been the power in order to make whatever this mill was. I'm not too sure if I'm honest, but I mentioned Clicket had 3 things at its disposal. It had a mill, it had a farm, and it had a quarry. And those little 3 things are all that they needed to make themselves self-sufficient. They needed the farm in order to grow and make the food to eat, and sometimes obviously sell it on. They had the quarry to make the stone to build their houses and make repairs. And then they had the mill in order to generate stuff, make a trade. Of course, on Exmoor, there was so many mills. A lot of them used to be sawmills, so they would obviously take the wood, they would put it through the sawmill, they would take it down to watch it, and then they would sell it onto the Welsh. But others could be just used for food and power. But that's how they got along. It's a wonderful way of being self-sufficient, and now we moan when we can't get a Wi-Fi signal. Funny that, isn't it? Anyway, we're going to head this way because I think there are some settlements, or what's left of some settlements down here. Come on then. Now, when it comes to the people that lived in those settlements, well, there weren't many. According to the census records, only a handful of families have lived in Clicket since records started back in the mid-19th century. Family names like Williams, Tarr, Webber, Cole, Burge all lived here, with the last baby, Lily Burge, born here in 1889. That used to be lived in. That used to have families living in there. That's amazing, isn't it? That some people actually used to live in there. I think it's fascinating. It really is. Why is it abandoned? Well, as you can tell, we're in the middle of the woods. We're in the middle of a valley. And as time went on, as technology got better, as people needed more things, more vehicular access, I mean, you wouldn't be able to get down here in a Range Rover for love nor money. So what can you do? People needed employment. The mill closed down. The quarry closed down in the late 19th century. So people needed to find work. They couldn't be self-sufficient anymore. They needed to get to towns. They needed to get to places where they could earn a living. But they've left quite the treasure for us lot to find in 2023. I mean, if you can, come for a walk in the woods. I've seen no one today, absolutely no one. All I've heard is nature, the streams, the birds. It's just beautiful in this little valley. Come for a walk if you can and see if you can find Clicket. And I'll see you next time.